man who identifies as a woman be required to take chemicals to block his masculinity?
No.
So he could just show up and say, "I want to compete. I'm a male, but I identify as a female."
Yes, that's correct.
And who determines who's transgender in a situation like that?
It's self-identification. So effectively, if he says he's a woman, he's a woman.
Washington, D.C. is where language gets rewritten in real time. Terms that once had fixed meaning now shift depending on who's speaking. Woman no longer carries the definition it held a decade ago. Rights don't mean what they meant just a few years back. And even science now appears less like objective truth and more like a position, shaped by whoever holds the microphone. Welcome to Congress Unpacked, where clarity replaces slogans and the story is what actually happened. If you value reporting that goes beyond soundbites, tap subscribe and turn on notifications. We go deeper here. Today, we're examining an exchange led by Senator John Kennedy during a hearing on a bill involving gender identity, parental rights, and women's sports. The question on the table was straightforward. What does this bill actually do? But the answers that followed were anything but straightforward.
Women's sports. Would this bill require all women's sports programs to make biological women compete against biological males with gender dysphoria?
They wouldn't have to have gender dysphoria. Anyone who says they're a girl at any time under this bill, they don't have to be transgender identified. They don't have to have gender dysphoria.
I'm getting there, okay? Let me ask you again, would this bill require women's sports programs to make women compete against men who have gender dysphoria, who identify as a woman?
Yes, anyone who identifies as a woman.
Okay. Would the man who identifies as a woman be required to take chemicals to block his masculinity?
No.
So he could just show up and say, "I want to compete. I'm a male, but I identify as a female."
Yes, that's correct.
And who determines who's transgender in a situation like that?
It's self-identification. So effectively, if he says he's a woman, he's a woman.
Okay.
Kennedy began with women's athletics. He asked whether, under the bill, any biological male who self-identifies as a woman would be eligible to compete in women's sports, with no medical transition, no hormone treatment, no diagnosis of gender dysphoria, simply self-identification. Abigail Shrier confirmed, yes. Kennedy didn't react. He didn't raise his voice. He paused and allowed the answer to stand on its own.
If I'm a parent of a transgender child, and I decline to have my child, a minor, take sex-changing hormones or chemicals or undergo sex change surgery, how would this bill impact my rights as a parent?
I don't know how it necessarily will, but it would seem that it will make it harder for parents to exercise their own judgment whenever a child says they have gender dysphoria. It would be I think that there will be more danger of coming under pressure and the possibility of losing custody.
Okay. Mr. David, let me ask you a question. How many sexes do you think there are?
How many sexes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a difference between sex and gender identity, if that's what you're getting at.
No, I'm asking biological sexes. How many do you think there are?
Well, I would defer to the medical practitioners, but I think there's been studies showing that if you're talking about sex is defined by many different characteristics, including chromosomes.
Are there more than are there more than two?
You could make that argument that there might be
more
than two.
Are you making that argument?
Individual.
But are you making?
Senator, I can't ignore the fact that there are individuals who are intersex, and so.
I'm just trying to.
It's not binary.
I'm running out of time. Are there more than two sexes? in your opinion?
It's not limited to 2.
Okay. That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Next, Kennedy turned to parental rights. He asked what happens if a parent does not agree to transition-related treatments for their child. Could there be pressure? Could the state intervene? Could custody even be impacted? Abigail Shrier acknowledged it. There is a danger that parents could come under pressure, and in some cases could face custody challenges. This was not speculation. It was an admission, under oath, in a Senate hearing. Then came the defining question, the one beneath the entire debate. Senator Kennedy asked, how many biological sexes are there? Answer, sex is not limited to 2. No qualification, no hesitation, not suggested, asserted. And this wasn't a college activist on social media. This was formal testimony, offered in the process of shaping federal policy. What this hearing reveals goes far beyond sports, identity, or fairness. At its core, it's a question of authority. Who gets to define reality? The parent, the state, the individual, or the prevailing ideology of the moment? Senator Kennedy didn't argue. He didn't moralize. He didn't attack. He simply asked the questions, and the answers, delivered under oath, spoke for themselves. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe to Congress Unpacked. We cut through the headlines to show you what really happens in Washington, not just what trends on social media. Stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.